6/8 time is a time signature used not all that often in metal music. Consisting of 6/8 notes per measure, it is considered to be a compound time signature, as it is counted, or perhaps better said as felt, to be two groups of 3/8 notes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is in contrast to the same but different common time signature of 3/4. 3/4 time means there is 3 strong beats per bar. 1, 2, 3. Whereas 6/8 time has 2 strong beats per bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can view this as 3/4 being made up of 3 groups of 2/8 notes. This is also known as being simple triple time. Simple meaning that each pulse of the beat is divided into just 2/8 notes, and triple referring to, of course, the 3 quarter notes that make up every measure of this time signature, right? 6/8, on the other hand, is known as compound duple time. Compound meaning that each pulse of the bar is divided into 3/8 notes rather than 2, and that's where the main feel difference comes from. And duple, which of course means 2, tells us there are 2 pulses per bar. This is where 6/8 gets its distinctly different feel from, as instead of the 3 quarter note pulses that 3/4 time gives us, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Instead, in 6/8 time, we essentially have 2 dotted quarter note pulses per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this duple time is what gives 6/8 its very swaying, almost dreamlike feel to it. Which, by the way, if you want to know more about the differences between these two similar, same but different time signatures, please go check out this video from David Bennett. He does a really great job, and I essentially just stole that opening section from that video there. But let's move on here. My favorite example of 6/8 time used in metal would have to be on Death's masterpiece, Spirit Crusher.
It comes from the depths of a place unknown to the.
Now, this album is absolutely packed full with various odd time meters and constantly changing tempos, but to me, it is this riff in particular that always stood out to me with its 6/8 feel. The song lyrically is about a monster, right? The Spirit Crusher, personifying depression, self-doubt, and anxiety, right? With the lyrics describing how this monster hides just beneath the surface and in plain sight and is always lying just beneath the surface, ready to feed upon its victims. And this riff combined with the 6/8 feel really sell it for me, right?
It comes from the depths of a place unknown to the.
The combination of the up and down nature of those add 9 chords, which by the way, go see my video on those chords, combined with them only being a half step apart when he moves up and down with the very swaying rhythm of 6/8, makes it sound like the Spirit Crusher is like this stalking predator, biding its time until the right time to strike, lying just beneath the surface, right? Truly a really genius way to use the rather unorthodox feel of 6/8 time musically and in metal. And interestingly enough, actually, the more standard, typical metal riff of open string pedal chugging, right, that follows the Spirit Crusher riff is also in 6/8 time. Which is just so interesting to me, as the 6/8 time of the previous spider riff is just so apparent and very obvious. Yet this riff, which immediately follows it, one of my all-time favorite riffs, never really felt 6/8 time to me until I began learning the song guitar. It wasn't very obvious. Spirit Crusher is just a great example of how 6/8 time can be used very differently and feel somewhat different just by changing the riffs, and especially the drumming underneath it, as we will see in a lot of the examples coming up here. In fact, this whole album is rather unusually packed full with 6/8 sections. For example, the song Story to Tell has one here. As well as the end to Forgives to Suffer, which rather unusually features 2 bars of 6/8, followed by 1 bar of 4/8 time, rather in a very sort of obtuse way that doesn't feel weird. It's really cool. And the absolutely ridiculous Scavenger of Human Sorrow, whose time signatures swing from 9/8 to 6/8 to 12/8 throughout most of the song, and it's just crazy. Crazy. Well, hello, my friends. We meet again. It has been a while. Where should we begin? So then, now that this is all as clear as mud, why make a video about 6/8 time metal here? Why make a video about this at all? What makes it so special? Well, first of all, I just really like 6/8 time.
I just think they're neat.
Any song written this time signature I tend to enjoy. It just evokes a great feeling for me, and I think it's very pleasing. 6/8 time I find is also very uncommon in metal music, as the vast majority of all metal is written simple 4/4 or sometimes 3/4 time, right? The strong, simple quarter note pulses really work with metal's more bombastic tendencies, as well as I think it just sounds better most of the time, and of course much easier to grasp at the higher tempos, which metal often finds itself in. It's also very direct, right? 4/4 time. 6/8 time, on the other hand, gives a sort of dreamy, wavy sound to it, right? The dotted quarter note pulse of the time signature is really sort of extraordinary for metal music, as often the goal in metal, right, is not to be very dreamy and wavy and effervescent and floating, but rather very direct and in your face. 6/8 time doesn't feel very direct, as the unusually long felt pulse of it lends itself to be sort of indirectly felt, right? Like something is sort of dancing around you, I feel. So let's take a look at a few examples of this time signature and why I feel it works so well in those contexts, and maybe how we can use it in our own music. But first, if you're enjoying this content, make sure you hit that like button down below. It's probably right here, maybe. It really helps this video in the eyes of that old cantankerous algorithm. Make sure you subscribe for more overly nerdy metal content. As well, I have a channel membership program if you want to help support this channel financially and directly. It helps out a lot. A channel membership also gives you access to the Varva's Discord channel, where I was talking about this with some of the guys there, as well as free song requests on my Friday music listening streams, which I also stream on Fridays, so come hang out. But that is enough self-shilling for me. Let us continue on here with some examples. When thinking of this video, Winter Sun was one of the first bands that really came to mind for me. While Yari is a frequent enjoyer of 3/4 time, quite a few Winter Sun songs are actually in 6/8. The first example which came to mind is the very beautiful, wistful, and sublime closer of the Second Time album, which is Silver Leaves. Silver Leaves uses the time signature for essentially its entire runtime. Almost the entire song is in 6/8 besides the ending section here. The use of 6/8 for this song really sort of captures that effervescent, dreamlike feel and sway of this time signature, which is used to great effect here with the various dramatic dynamic shifts of the song as well. Some of these parts feel very intimate and up close, like when Yari's singing quieter. But then when it expands to be the beautiful chorus with that glorious main melody, it just feels so otherworldly and dreamlike. It's really gorgeous. I love that main melody. Time is flowing so fast, and soon another Winter Sun song which uses 6/8 to achieve a similar dreamlike floating effect would be the song Time from Time 1 during the chorus. Interestingly, the majority of this song beforehand has a very 3/4 feel to it, right? But when the chorus comes around, it really sort of leans more into the swaying feel of 6/8 time. I feel it really elevates the chorus with its long-held power chords and its incredible sing-along melodies, right? It really makes it stand out beyond just being the chorus and being like the climax of the singing, right? It really feels a lot different. The feel of the pulse is different from the rest of the song. The rest of the song is very direct and riff focused, but the 6/8 chorus really sort of pulls you into this dreamlike sway and groove. Really fantastic stuff from Winter Sun here. I love both those songs. The other song which immediately came to mind when thinking of 6/8 metal would be Metallica's premier power ballad, Nothing Else Matters. Now, I mean, how metal is this song? Well, that's up for debate. They are a metal band, though. The 6/8 time really makes it stand out in Metallica's catalog of music. In addition to the very beautiful arrangement, singing, and playing on this song, the 6/8 feel really gives the song a very timeless and almost classical feeling to it, right? The song is, of course, about missing someone or some place or something, and how when you are together with them or that place or whatever, the world fades away and nothing else matters but that thing or person, right? And the 6/8 feel of the song really enhances the intimacy of the song and really makes you feel like you are swaying back and forth with someone as the world sort of fades away and all the noise fades into the background, right? It feels just extremely intimate, and a big part of that is the 6/4 swaying that makes it feel very dreamlike and ethereal and intimate as well. Another song which really evokes this sort of really dreamlike feel of 6/8 time would be Iron Maiden's classic and extremely underrated song, Afraid to Shoot Strangers. Now, technically, I believe this is in 12/8, but to me, it just makes more sense to count to 6 twice than it does to count to 12. 12 is kind of a mouthful to try to count out, but the point still stands, right? It's still in that compound time signature, right? That really gives it that really sort of swaying, dreamlike, ethereal feel to it that the intro of Afraid to Shoot Strangers does so well. Love this track.
It comes to the time when we pause and climb.
Opeth is another band who frequently uses this time signature as well, with one of my favorite examples being the song Harvest. Which again uses this rather dreamlike, floating, swaying feel to really great effect. I really love this song. And, so far, most of the examples haven't really been all that heavy, besides the death examples, of course, right? For a more upbeat, heavier example of this time signature, 6/8, let's take a look at the song Toxicity by System of a Down. Played at a much faster tempo than a lot of the other songs we've heard so far, the 6/8 time in this song actually does two different things. During the heavier chorus, it gives it a very odd feeling to it, right? Like something isn't right. Normally in heavier music, we sort of expect that common 4/4 pulse, right? However, in the chorus to Toxicity, the band really hammers home that 3/8 note pulse to it, that dotted quarter note pulse to it, which makes it sound slightly off.
Yo, what are you on the world? How you on disorder?
Like it's almost sickly, like the normal beat we are expecting is lethargic from the poisonous environment around it. Which of course, those obtuse sudden stops and starts of the guitars combined with the rather crazy drumming in this section also really highlights this odd pulse and feeling even more, but the 6/8 time is responsible for this effect. But in the softer verse sections of the song, it sort of brings it back to that Winter Sun feel and the Metallica feel with that more intimate feel, right? You're much close, you're sort of swaying with him.
Conversion, software version 7.0.
Especially with singer Serj Tankian's delivery here, which is very dynamic and starts off very softly sung. So soft, in fact, that we can clearly hear his breaths before the next line. This combined with the 6/8 time really makes it sort of feel like the toxic city fades away as we are serenaded by Serj about the disastrous state of the world. It's a really cool effect to see 6/8 used in both a heavy and light context in the same song. Another example of a heavier use of 6/8 time would be the song From the Inside by Linkin Park. Similar to Toxicity, the whole song employs a 6/8 feel, right? One with being very dreamlike and sort of intimate and swaying. But to me, what is notable about this song in particular was it is like the only 6/8 breakdown that I could think of. The use of those natural harmonics on the 4 count of the beat, right? Remember, 6/8 time is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really makes this breakdown feel very unique, but also like somewhat rushed, as we are really sort of used to that quarter note pulse of 4/4, which most breakdowns feature, but 6/8 kind of ends like a quarter note early if you think about it, right? So it kind of gives the breakdown like a rushed, very unique sound to it. Really, really cool work by Linkin Park there. For another very heavy use of 6/8, we look to the band Converge and the closing track of their famous album Jane Doe. The band's use of 6/8 feel in comparison to some of the other examples which invoke a dreamlike sway to them, instead Converge makes it feel very desperate, like the band is reaching for something which is not yet here or has been lost, right? It really sort of feels awkward, like the band is trying to play in standard time, but it's missing a beat or something. Which is really, really hammered home by the rather unorthodox riffs and especially the drumming in this part, which this unorthodox and sort of desperate feel is really made more apparent when the band moves to, I guess, what you could call the chorus of the song, and the drums and guitars move to like a more traditional 6/8 swaying groove. A truly, truly very unique and interesting way to phrase and to use 6/8 time in a much heavier context. Melodic black metal band Dissection would also use 6/8 time to great effect on the song Where Dead Angels Lie. This is just another really great use of the 6/8 feel. The band stays in the 6/8 groove for the majority of the song, besides a section during the bridge of the song. And the swaying rhythm of 6/8 really adds to this sort of otherworldly feel that the song has. In fact, this whole album sort of just feels like a ghost, kind of like the rider on the cover, right? And in addition to adding to that feel, it sort of adds a very much more folky feel and rhythm to some of the more melodic leads that are played later on in the song. Very, very cool use of 6/8 time here. Nightfall by Blind Guardian is another fantastic use of 6/8 to set up a more dreamlike feel to the song.
Sign of life did flicker in floods of tears she cried.
The song, which stays firmly in the 6/8 groove the whole time, is really capped off by the chorus of the song, which gives us a glimpse of a more triumphant and bombastic use of 6/8 time. Really, really great chorus here, as well as similar to the Dissection song, it also gives a slightly more folky feel to some of the sections of the song, rather if they were played in 4/4. Really, really cool song by Blind Guardian here. So we have looked at many different uses of 6/8 time here, and I have tried to expand it to as many different metal genres as I can. So now I turn it over to you boys. What other metal songs feature this use of this exceptionally epic and very enjoyable time signature? Make sure to leave your examples down in the comments down below. I've been Varvis. Cheers.